Anytime, anytime I hear anybody say, "Oh, music these days is crap. The last great album came out in 1979. Ever since the 80s, the music has sucked. People don't know how to write catchy rock tracks anymore." I want to grab that person very politely by the face and move their face to this album and say, "What do we have right here?" You know, you're just not looking hard enough, my guy. Let's dive into this one. In the morning when you wake up, living straight down the line. A Dream Is All We Know by the Lemon Twigs. So, huge shout out first to Matt O'Leary and Nathan on Shuffle for basically forcing me to listen to this. They have been on the hype train for the Lemon Twigs for the past 3 or 4 years, and they always are like, "You gotta listen to the Lemon Twigs," especially Matt. Matt is just like, "You gotta listen to Lemon Twigs." One of the best rock music that we've gotten out of Long Island in the last couple of years. You know, it's being head by two brothers. We got Brian and Michael Daddario, I believe that's how you pronounce them, and they got their start in the mid 2010s. Like, we're looking at 2015, 2016, put out their first album back in 2016. I believe 2015, according to their Wikipedia site, had What We Know, a limited edition cassette. And then 2016, we got Do Hollywood. 2018, Go to School. In 2020, Songs for the General Public. And that was when I first heard about it, when Matt was just like, "You gotta listen to this. You gotta listen to this." I'm like, "Yeah, okay. Then in 2023, we got Everything Harmony. And that was when Nathan was just like, "You gotta listen to this." I'm like, "Yeah, okay. Now we get A Dream Is All We Know. And I finally buckled. And I finally gave this guy a listen. And I'm kicking myself that I didn't listen to these guys earlier. I equate this, in terms of style, in terms of flavor, in terms of vibes, to after the Beach Boys put out Pet Sounds, they decided to band together with the Beatles, who was working on Sgt. Pepper's, and were like, "Hey, instead of you putting out Sgt. Pepper's, let's work together and we'll create our own album." And that's kind of what we get. I mean, it sounds very much out of that mid-60s, late 60s pop rock kind of Beatles mania vibe, and that very fun, very accessible, very light, very, very catchy music in terms of this rock pop style. At times, it does get a little obvious of the influences, and there's a number of moments on here that's like, well, this kind of feels like a cut from Brian Wilson's Smile, or this sounds like it could have been lifted off of Beatles' Revolver or Rubber Soul. And it does bring me out of the music ever so slightly, and that is something that I have commented on a number of times. But this is where the major asterisk and the very big caveat is, the music is always so innovative, and it's always removed itself from its influences, where it's like, yes, we've taken this style, but we're doing something a little bit different with it. You know, we're playing around with it a little bit more, and we're also recontextualizing it. Because in today's world, we need music like this. You know, I don't want to sit down and listen to dour, depressing, introspective, very heavy music. Sometimes I just want a nice fluffy cloud to look at for a while. And these guys are 100% giving that to me. We've got 12 tracks across 35 minutes worth of music, which is just a delight. You know, I know a lot of people are like, movies these days are too long. I'm starting to become that old curmudgeon that is like, you know, albums these days are getting too long. So much like my cinema files that are like, when they gush over a 90-minute runtime for a movie, I gush whenever I see a runtime that's less than 45 minutes. You know, when I see an album that's about 34 minutes, I'm like, let's go. Like I said, this album is an absolute delight. It opens up with My Golden Years, and you're starting to see where a lot of the influences lie. I feel like The Golden Years really does open up like a Tom Petty track. I'm definitely feeling a lot of his singer-songwriter, his writing styles, his guitar playing, and his like singing style as well are kind of infused in this very fun, very bouncy, very light-hearted track. Then we come into the very big Beatles-esque track of They Don't Know How to Fall in Place, which has this really fun like synth sound work that's like almost a harpsichord in a case, but it's the harmonizations that we have within this, like that 4-part harmony, or I guess in this case 2-part harmony, that's just made to feel so big like it's covering a 4-piece harmony. Again, like how these guys are able to write these very catchy tracks and have this harmonization that's, you know, akin to a Hall & Oates or Simon and Garfunkel while still feeling like a Beatles 4-parter, like absolutely outstanding. And there's a lot of like that Ringo style drum work, you know, and it's just like, it's not overly complex. It's not overly bombastic. It's not overly in your face. It's just like these little emphases, these little dashes within the drumming that I'm just like, ooh, that's the good stuff. And talk about catchy melodies. You know, the third track of Church Bells has this infectious quality to it where it's just like this little tiny inflection of like, ring, ring goes the bells, that will just stick in my head for like 2 days. And I'm like, why am I just singing this one point over and over and over again? Like their ability to just write this little tiny hook that then strings me along for the entire track. I'm like, holy geez, and it's only here for like 2 minutes. Again, here and then gone. But I think at the end of the day, what really keeps me coming back to this album is the earnest optimism. You know, it's the earnest celebration. It's this overly bubblegum without being sickeningly sweet. Like look at Sweet Vibration, which could have fallen into the almost sour sweet. Like you're listening to it and you're like, oh, this is way too much. No, it's just enough. You know, it's like an icing off of a cupcake. You know, it's not like you're eating pure sugar. There's a little bit more substance to it. And a lot of that has to do with the programming that these boys are doing. A lot of the sounds that they're using in terms of the keyboards and the synths. Like everything's very thought out, you know. And this one almost reminds me of like a very, very, very early Rolling Stones, which is the only kind of Rolling Stones that I'll listen to. I'll only listen to their first couple of albums because of how earnest it is and how fun they're having. You know, it's this playing with sound and playing with motifs that really allow me to get in and get excited for it. So yeah, this album is an absolute delight. It ends with Rock On Over and Over. That feels like an ELO piece, you know. It kind of has that early Jeff Lynne flavor to it that I particularly like. And again, these guys are using kind of the materials, you know, they're using the tools from that late 60s, early 70s pop rock aspects to build something very unique and very much their own. Yeah, at times it does feel a little bit of a copy and paste and change a couple of answers to make it more original, but I can at least give these guys a pass where I would demonize others in the past because of how catchy it is, of how infectious it is, and ultimately how much fun I'm having with it. You know, I will always be able to look the other way if a band is doing something that I genuinely enjoy and genuinely love to listen to, even if it is a little bit of a copy and paste. So, yeah, in the end, I will say, A Dream Is All We Know by the Lemon Twigs is one that I would absolutely pick up in physical format. What can I say? I'm a convert. I have fallen in love with these guys. I've gone back and I've listened to their discography. I honestly think this is their best work. You know, where all the other ones I gave a couple of spins to and I'm like, okay, I can see what they're putting down, but it's not quite for me. This was the first one that I really attached myself to and I really, really enjoyed. So yeah, this is your moment to go and listen to the Lemon Twigs because I had an absolute blast with this one. This one for sure gets the note seal of approval. This is the album that I've been listening to so much during this time just because of how good vibes it is. You know, like they should have almost called this one the Good Vibes album because yeah, now that we're coming into spring, we're getting a little bit more sun out there. I want some good vibes. You know, I don't want those dour, moody, very like bleh albums. I want a good vibe album, and that's what this one is. So go and check it out. You won't be disappointed. And that's what I've got for A Dream Is All We Know by the Lemon Twigs. What did you guys think about this record? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. Because as I mentioned, that's all I got. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.